You're listening to the Thriving Nurse Podcast. I'm your host, Abby Sanchez, and this is episode 127 Reduce Stress and Live Beyond Normal. Did you know your nursing dream job is out there? But it's not something you find, it's something you create. And I can show you how. I'm Abby Sanchez, and I'm a life coach for nurses. Using my experience at the bedside, along with my psychology degree, I help nurses build confidence, manage overwhelm, and fall in love, or back in love with being a nurse. So come along with me, and I'll help you create the career and life you crave. You ready? Let's go. Hey, welcome back to the podcast, you guys. It feels so good to be back. I just got back from Mexico and had an amazing time, but it always just feels so good to be home. Sleeping in your own bed, having all your own space, your own stuff, it just feels so good. And one of the things that I just realized as I sat down to record this podcast episode is this is one of the things that makes me feel like I'm home. Sitting down to talk to you guys, I was just like, oh, I'm back. It just feels so cozy and so nice to be here. So, thank you so much for being here listening. I'm excited to talk to you today. We're going to be talking about how to reduce stress to live beyond normal. Now, I feel very passionate about this topic because right now, nurses are experiencing a lot of stress. Many of them are. Are you feeling it? Is life feeling kind of heavy to you right now? I feel like everywhere I look, I'm seeing nurses talking about their stress and feeling so heavy and overwhelmed and burdened. And I want to help you guys. I can help you guys. And so I feel very passionate about this is something I want to talk about and address with you guys. So if you're feeling that heaviness, that's what we're going to talk about today. And specifically, we're going to talk about what it's like to drop the stress. Can you even imagine that right now? I know sometimes when we're in the thick of it, it's hard to imagine life without it. It's like a fish in water. We're just so used to it. We're like, oh, this is just how it is. This is the new normal, being stressed and overwhelmed and feeling hopeless, right? Sometimes it's hard to see that light at the end of the tunnel. But what I want you to know in this episode is it doesn't have to be that way. That you can reduce the stress and live beyond normal. I know some of us right now with the pandemic, we're all waiting for life to go back to normal, to how things were pre-COVID, what we were doing in our lives, how we were feeling in our lives. But I want you to know that is not my goal for you. I don't want you to go back to the same level of stress you had before COVID. I want you to live better than that, to live beyond that, to reduce your stress from even what you were feeling back then. And so I want to help you just imagine and to know that that is possible. Now, before we get too far into this episode, I want to make sure I also am very clear here. The reason for this isn't because stress is bad. I know a lot of times that's what we hear, right? We hear of all the problems that stress creates. And as nurses, we see a lot of chronic conditions that could be caused by stress, right? Like we see patients with heart disease, or they're obese, or have diabetes. And stress can play into all of those issues. So a lot of times we hear about the negative effects of stress. But I don't believe stress is dangerous. I believe that when we fear stress, it creates those problems. It actually compounds the stress and makes our bodies less able to handle it. So, as we're talking about this today, I'm helping you reduce stress and imagine a lower level of stress in your life. I want you to know it's not because stress is dangerous and bad, but as we manage it and gain control over it and are able to work through our lives with stress, not without it. We're not going to get rid of it completely, but as we know how to manage the stress we do have, then we can create something beyond normal. We can up level our lives. And that is really what I want for you guys. Now, one of the reasons I got thinking about this topic, which part of it is like what I said, hearing nurses talk about their stress and feel that heaviness, I wanted to help with that. But also in last week's episode number 126, if you guys haven't listened to that one yet, make sure you go back and do that because it was a good one. Several of you reached out to me saying you loved it. One of you even said it might be your new favorite, and it might be mine too. So go check out that episode after this one. But in that episode, spoiler alert if you haven't listened to it yet, I talk about how to boost your energy. And one way to do that is by reducing your stress. So, as I was thinking about that episode, then I got thinking and I was like, that's just one of the benefits, having more energy. But there are so many benefits I've seen in my life and in the lives of my Bold Nurse Society members as they've been able to bring down the stress in their lives and more effectively manage the stress that they do have. So, I wanted to talk about those benefits today and help you guys know what is possible. And to help you take it all to the next level and really make that a reality in your life, I'm going to be hosting a virtual retreat. I am so excited to do this with you guys. I've never done anything like this before, but we're going to have a week together online. It's a virtual retreat. So we're going to be hanging out online all week. I'm going to help you bring down your stress. We're going to have an amazing week of pampering and support and guidance. We're going to take all these tools you're learning here on the podcast and bring it to the next level and apply it to what's going on in your life. And you'll be able to see other nurses and support them and come together. Because I feel like that's what we're needing right now. We're needing this boost to come together, to give us that hope, to bring down our stress and increase our energy and just help us feel supported and pampered. We're going to do some pampering in there because I just feel like nurses need it right now. Even though it's not Nurses Week, you guys need some love. So I'm going to give you tons of love in there. It's going to be so much fun. So this virtual retreat, it's called the Thriving Nurse Stress Relief Virtual Retreat, is totally free, but you do have to sign up for it. So go to thrivingnurse.com/retreat and grab your spot, and you'll be ready to come and hang out with us all week long. It's going to be fantastic. And if you're listening to this podcast episode once it's already kicked off and is already going, as long as it's not over yet. So the retreat goes from October 4th, Monday, to October 8th, Friday. So those 5 days. So you can join us anytime, even if we're in the middle of it. Come hang out with us. But once it's over, you're not going to be able to access those trainings. And of course, you'll have missed out on the prizes and that fun stuff. So don't miss it. Come hang out with us, thrivingnurse.com/retreat. I want to give you a whole bunch of love and help you reduce your stress. So today, if you're feeling kind of hopeless, if you can't imagine life without all the stress, or if you don't know what that looks like, because remember, we're not trying to go back to pre-COVID times or pre-pandemic times. We want to live at an even higher level. And I want you to know that is totally possible. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So today, what I've got for you are, let's see, I think I came up with like 4 or 5 ways that reducing stress and learning to effectively manage stress in my life has brought my life to the next level, or the life of my Bold Nurse Society members to the next level. So today, we're not talking about the problems that stress causes like we so often do. Instead, I want you to know that there's life beyond that and give you that hope. Okay, so number 1, as I've reduced the stress in my life and learned how to manage it, I've been able to say yes to things that light me up. So in the past, I would say no to things I really wanted to do because I thought that's too overwhelming, right? Like even small things. I'm not talking huge things, but just day to day life. Like let's say friends want to get together for a game night. Sometimes I would say no, like there's too much on the calendar. There's too much going on. I have too much on my to-do list. I'm too overwhelmed. And I'd say no to those things that I really genuinely wanted to do. And now I don't say yes all the time. Like, I still have boundaries and limits in my life, but I find myself saying yes to more of those things. If you've seen the movie Yes Man with Jim Carrey, it's been a while since I've seen that movie, but have you seen that one? Where Jim Carrey has to say yes to everything, like anything anyone asks him to do. And he gets himself in all these kinds of crazy situations because people will invite him to things or tell him to do something, and he has to say yes. Like he's under some spell or something. I forget what it is. It's been a long time since I've seen it, but he has to say yes to everything. But it turns out because he's willing to live his life more fully and say yes to things and put himself in uncomfortable situations, he ends up falling in love and having this amazing, beautiful life. And I think that though we don't need to say yes all the time, if we were willing to say yes to the things we really want to do in our lives, we could have so many different experiences that right now we're saying no to. We're shutting down because we're too stressed out or too overwhelmed. So it helps me say yes to things I really want to do, like starting my coaching practice. That would have been something that if I didn't know how to manage stress, I would not have been able to do that. I would have given up on that within the first week. But because I was able to manage the stress and reduce the stress, I've been able to help so many other nurses. So, what happens is when we reduce our stress, then stress no longer has to be a reason to say no. So, we can do more of the things we love, even with the stress. Like sometimes we can reduce the stress or get rid of it completely, and we're like, oh, not a big deal. I'm good. I'm actually excited to do this thing. I want to do whatever it is, right? That we're excited about. But other times, we want to do something that's kind of challenging and we still feel stressed. Like the stress doesn't go away completely. But the fact that the stress is there is no longer a reason to say no. So, like I said in the beginning, the goal isn't to get rid of stress completely. I don't think that's possible. We don't want to be robots going through our lives. We're going to feel stressed sometimes. But when it doesn't have to control your life, when it doesn't drive your decisions anymore, then it opens up the possibilities. One of my members in Bold Nurse Society told me at the beginning of the pandemic, her hospital was needing nurses to cross train in the ICU to learn how to use ventilators and do other skills that she had never done before. And she was terrified to do it. She said she was only a couple of years into nursing and had never done that kind of stuff before and felt terrified. But what happened was we didn't coach the fear out of her. We didn't completely get rid of the stress or the overwhelm, but she was able to use the tools she learned in Bold Nurse Society to say, it's okay. It's okay to be stressed and do it anyway. Stress doesn't have to be a reason to stop. And so while she was able to minimize the stress some, she was also still able to move forward in her life and do something she wanted to do so she could learn and grow as a nurse and contribute in that way in the world. So when we no longer fear stress and we know how to manage it, then it doesn't have to be a reason to stop. So, what are the things you would say yes to in your life if you were able to reduce the stress or minimize the stress or work through it? What would you say yes to in your life? It's kind of crazy to think about. What would you do? What possibilities, what options would be opened up for you? Okay, so number two, the second benefit I've seen from reducing stress and knowing how to manage it is we're able to enjoy the present. So today I was feeling a little bit stressed out, not gonna lie. I just got back from vacation. There was a lot to do, needed to go grocery shopping, various different things going on. But I was feeling kind of stressed. And as I was rushing around trying to get my kids ready so we could get out the door and go grocery shopping, I paused for a second. I had just been like in go mode and was just trying to get everything done that I wasn't enjoying the present. And I stopped in the kitchen because I saw my son Eli riding this little car he has in just his diaper. And he looked so cute. And I was like, okay, when I'm stressed out, I just get in this tunnel vision. I don't notice what's going on. I don't enjoy the present. It's just all about get the shoes on, get the clothes on, change the diaper, get them out the door, right? It's just like go, 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 go. But when we take a step back and leave the stress, then we're able to look around. Then we see all the beautiful things happening around us right now. And so it was a good reminder to realize stress isn't as important as it feels. It's actually making me miss the now. Because stress lives in the future. You guys, worry lives in the future. When we're worried about things, we're thinking about what might happen down the road. Our brain is living in the future, creating the emotions we think we'll experience then. But if we can come back to the present, then we can enjoy it. We can see the beauty that's already there. And that makes the difficult things so much easier to get through, right? It balances out our lives. As nurses, I know that's what many of us wish we had. We wish we had those special moments with our patients. I know that's why I became a nurse. I imagined holding patients' hands at the bedside and having meaningful conversations with them as they're going through these difficult times. But sometimes, if I'm stressed out during a shift, I'm just rushing from one room to the next. I'm just trying to get the patients their meds as fast as possible. But as I've learned to minimize the stress, to let go of it, then I'm able to enjoy that time with patients. Then I'm able to have those conversations or make jokes or bond with them in ways that when stress is driving me, I miss those opportunities. So as we enjoy the present, then we're able to have those experiences and feel more fulfilled. And not only does it make the present more enjoyable, but benefit number 3 is it helps you be more productive. Before I became a coach, my little entrepreneurial endeavor was listing our house on Airbnb. So when we would go on vacation, we would list our house for people to rent and come stay while we were gone. And that was really stressful for me. It was before I had these coaching tools, but I would get so overwhelmed because not only would I be trying to pack and plan a vacation, but I would also be trying to get the house perfectly spotless. And you have to do it all at the last minute because you can't clean a couple days ahead of time and then stay in the house because then it's going to get dirty again, right? So we'd have to prepare things as much as we could in advance, but then just right before the trip, like the day of, it would be go time and we'd have to deep clean everything to get it ready for guests. And that was so stressful for me because I would spin out in my head. And that stress would lead me to not being very productive. So I would either procrastinate, which is what we do sometimes, right? When things just feel heavy and overwhelming, we do nothing. And then the stress just builds because it's still looming over us. Or we take frantic action. So sometimes I would do that too. I would make to-do lists and be rushing around and just seem really busy, but then realize I got nothing done. Do you guys ever feel that way in your lives where you're like, I felt busy all day, but I don't know what I got done? And sometimes that's how it is during our shifts too, right? We're taking that frantic action because we feel so stressed out, where we're rushing around trying to get things done, but we're kind of bouncing back and forth between different tasks, and everything seems to take so much longer than it needs to. But as I've been able to reduce the stress and manage it, then I'm able to take focused, deliberate action. So I know you guys have had those shifts too, right? Where you feel like a rock star, where you're like, I did so good this shift. I was thinking so clearly. I prioritized things really well. I thought through everything. Like, of course, it's not ever a perfect shift, right? But you've had those shifts that you felt really good about. Wouldn't it be awesome to have more of those? It's possible, you guys. As we learn how to reduce the stress, you're able to have more of those shifts and more of those days in your life where you feel focused, where you're productive, where you're able to achieve more than you ever have before. It's pretty cool. Okay, number 4 is I've been able to up-level my relationships. When I get stressed out, I get kind of cranky. Do you guys get that way? I mean, of course, you can be stressed and not react to it. So you can be stressed out and you don't have to snap at people. You don't have to say mean things. But when I get stressed out, it's a lot harder to be patient with my children or to be kind to my husband. I just get kind of grumpy, I'll be honest. But as I reduce the stress, then I'm more fun and more playful. I'm able to access my sense of humor. I realized when I'm stressed out, that's one of the first things to go is I don't want to laugh at things anymore. Or I'm just, even if I'm not like super grumpy or anything like that, when I'm stressed out, then I don't think of jokes. Like I just am not playful in that same way. But when we reduce the stress, then all of that comes back. That dynamic person that you are comes back. It's so much more fun. So I told you guys about my trip to Mexico. We went with 2 other couples, had an amazing time, and the whole time we were just laughing and joking. We have so many like inside jokes. When my friends was keeping a little journal while we were there, writing all the little stories and inside jokes we have and printing out pictures for it. It was adorable. But when we were there, I felt a lot funnier or just a lot more playful because we didn't have all the stresses of day to day life. And all my friends didn't have their normal stresses. And so when that stress is removed, we're able to access that more playful, fun version of ourselves. But think about when you have a heavy shift. A lot of times people aren't joking around. When everyone's stressed out, we just kind of keep to ourselves. We don't talk to each other. We don't joke around. But it doesn't have to be that way. We can have fun while we're working. It's possible, you guys. But we have to reduce the stress and learn how to manage the stress in order to get there. So it makes life a lot more fun. And that enhances your relationships. So I was saying I get less cranky, or not just less cranky, but I'm able to access those parts of me that I really love, my sense of humor, my playfulness. And that helps deepen my relationships with other people. So with my kids, instead of being cranky and grumpy, I get to be the fun mom that I want to be, that I want to be more of in my life. And of course, still not perfect, you guys. But that version of me gets to show up more often and create those relationships I want in my life. And what I found is I'm able to be more compassionate and think of others and serve others more when I reduce the stress. Because remember, when we're stressed out, we're in tunnel vision. We don't see the big picture. So part of that is we're tunnel visioned and we're not enjoying the present, but it's also tunnel vision in that we're only focused on ourselves and what we need to get done. We only see our problems. We feel self-pity and we're just focused on ourselves when we're stressed out. It's like looking through a toilet paper tube. Like imagine holding up 2 toilet paper tubes to your eyes, making little binoculars. You just see straight in front of you. But if we remove that, then you get to see the big picture. And sometimes we'll see that other people are suffering, or we'll see that there's a need that's not being met, that we can help with, that we have skills and talents and ways to contribute. So for me, that's been coaching has been the biggest way that I've been able to see what other people need, what other nurses need to help them. And I've been able to have the energy to provide that to them. But it's the same for my nurses in Bold Nurse Society. They've been able to remove those binoculars and see other people's needs. I have a nurse in there who is now a coach herself. She's a coach for new moms. And she's able to see their needs and to serve them and to bring them tools and support and guidance that they need to work through that transition into motherhood. That's pretty awesome, you guys. So we're able to strengthen our relationships and contribute more to the world when stress isn't holding us back. All right, and number 5, which goes along with this one. So number 4 was strengthening relationships in general. But number 5 is I've been able to strengthen my relationship with myself. I don't know if you can relate to this, but for me, when I'm stressed out, it kind of breeds this cycle of negativity. Because when I'm stressed out and I react to it, I'm not showing up as the mom I want to be, and I'm impatient and I'm not getting as much done as I want to, then it starts that cycle. And I maybe have some negative self talk and kind of beat myself up more, which doesn't feel good, which harms my relationship with me. But as I've been able to reduce that stress, I am so much kinder to myself. And I'm able to show up as that version of me that I want to be more often. Of course, not perfect, not always my ideal version of a mom or my ideal version of a nurse, but that's okay. But there are more good days than bad. I'm able to feel proud of myself and like I showed up as the mom I want to be more often, and as the nurse I want to be, and as the wife I want to be more often. And that is what is possible for you. If you feel like you get stuck in those cycles where you're kind of beating yourself up and you're not good enough or doing enough and you're just caught up in that negative self-talk, I want you to know that we can bring down the stress. Right now, you're doing an amazing job. You're operating under way more stress than you need to be. And I can help you reduce that. But once we do, then you can see this new version of you, the you that's already there. But without all the stress, you can see this different version of you and who she is in the world. The mom, the nurse, the wife, the friend, the sister that you want to be. And you'll be able to get to know her on a much deeper level. So those are the things that I have uncovered as I've been able to reduce the stress in my life. There are so many benefits. I know a lot of times we talk about the harm of stress, but as we relieve the stress in our lives, then we're able to access new levels of ourselves and we're able to live beyond normal. So that's what I want to help you guys do. And it's not hard. If I can do it, me who does get stressed out, I'm not one of those people who's just naturally easygoing. So if I can do it, if I can bring down the stress and see these benefits in my life, I guarantee you can do it too. And that's what I want for you. So we're going to take off the layers of stress. We're just getting warmed up today. But in our Thriving Nurse Stress Relief Virtual Retreat, I'm going to give you all the support you need so you can feel rejuvenated and recharged and regain that hope and excitement. We're going to take off those layers of stress and just have the best time celebrating all of you. So come hang out with me. Go to thrivingnurse.com/retreat. I can't wait to see you there. I'll see you soon. Take care.